USA,
USA, USA, USA, USA.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Clueless Yanks podcast. You already know what we're talking about today. How y'all boys feeling?
Oh,
American.
I'm feeling a little bit of red.
A little bit
I'm
patriotic.
feeling a little bit of white.
What else?
I'm feeling a little bit of fucking blue as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm not feeling blue. I'm feeling up.
I get it.
God damn it. I'm feeling a lot of bit of white, obviously.
The energy is high in the building. What?
Because I'm white, obviously.
The energy is high in the building today. The energy was high last night, especially in Denver, Colorado. Energy was high from a lot of Mexico fans. The Broncos have absolutely fucking nothing to do with this.
Yes, sir.
Broncos.
Fuck the Broncos.
I wore my Broncos shirt.
A lot of angry Mexican fans in the stadium throwing shit at our players, but, they didn't give a shit. They came out with a dub, showed a lot of character, showed a lot of fight.
Yes.
The golden generation has arrived, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, it's so nice to see, man. It's so nice to finally see all of these players that we've been hyping up for so long now, especially on the podcast, and even before we started podcasting. We're like, Dest, Pulisic, Sargent, Reyna, McKinney, Stefan. It's like all of these guys are now coming into form, and like it's so nice to see like that we were right about at least most of them.
Yeah.
And they have – yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Not to mention like a whole like long season of like all of them like getting so many like personal accolades and stuff and winning titles, especially like with Pulisic, winning the Champions League and then, making that PK to help them win this cup.
Oh, beautiful.
And then all of them coming together and like winning a group title now.
And then also now having the coldest picture in sporting history
Oh my God.
of them shushing Mexico fans as they're throwing fucking beer bottles and soda cans at them.
That was lit.
That man
Or
says,
stadium
fucking give me the
cups.
yellow. I'm ripping my jersey
It's
off.
absolutely
Shit,
beautiful.
Yes, sir. Oh,
Yeah, it's great because, like you said, we've talked about all this individual talent that we have. Your Pulisic, your Reynas, your McKinneys, etc. But as a group, collectively for the men's national team, they haven't really proven anything yet. You've had some nice little friendly results, but this was the first real competition they've all played in together. They played in the Gold Cup a couple of off seasons ago, but it wasn't like all of them together. Like Des wasn't on that team. I think a couple other key guys. Like Reyna obviously was only like 16 back then, so he wasn't on that team either. There were some key guys missing from that, but this is the first one. Bar like your Chris Richards, bar your Tyler Adams obviously wasn't fully healthy. He wasn't able to play the whole game. But besides that, this is about as strong of a team as we can get. Although we'll get on to Greg Berhalter later. I think he did play a few players that probably shouldn't have been playing, but it is what it is. Not going to complain too much about him. We won the game. But these guys came together for the first time in a competitive setting, in a competitive environment against a very experienced and a Mexican national team that has a heavy pedigree, has had a lot of success, especially within CONCACAF over the last 10 to 15 years. And we have to be honest, it's pretty much run CONCACAF for the last 10 years in terms of Gold Cups, World Cup qualifying. They've been winning most of the competitive games against us. And these young players, remember that, young players, 18 years old, 22 years old, 20 years old, they came together and beat a team like Mexico when they didn't even play as good as they could. It's not like everything was clean. They came together and they got the dub, their first ever win together. And it's something that, you can have all the individual talent in the world. If you don't come together as a team, if you don't come together collectively and mesh as a unit, it's just not going to work. And I think that this is just a huge, huge step forward as we head into World Cup qualifying and then, hopefully the World Cup in the future and World Cups after that and everything to come with this team, that they made this first huge step that might even be the most important step as a team to get that first trophy. Now they have a sense of unity and bond between them. They've done, a great thing. They've won a trophy together, and then, the sky is the limit from here.
Yeah, I also want to go off of that too. We were talking about it's really important that they win this cup, but I think it's also important that it was Mexico. And not just because of the rivalry, because I feel like for the past, X amount of years – there's always been this cloud over our team when we play Mexico that it's like, oh God, man, it's like we rarely beat these guys unless we're in fucking Ohio. Anywhere else, it's like, forget about it. We're probably not going to win.
Forget about it.
I mean, it's the first time we beat them in a competitive match since 2013 in World Cup qualifying in Ohio. Yeah. And the only other time we've beaten them since then was in a 2018 friendly when it was really both teams played weekend sides. And yeah, we won 1-0 in a friendly. It's like, okay, that's cool, but they beat us in the Gold Cup final the last time we played them in a competitive match, and then they fucking thrashed us 3-0 at a friendly after that, which was the last time we played them. So it's the first time we've beaten them actually in a tournament since 2007 in the Gold Cup final. So it's been a very long time since we've beaten them in a setting like this, like you said. So that does make it better. And I honestly I feel better that it was like a full out knock 'em down brawl 3-2 type win instead of, if we went out there and won 3-4-0, I mean, I'd be hyped as shit regardless, but I feel like this will do more going forward. The fact that they were able to go out there and go toe to toe. I mean, Mexico pulled out all the stops. They were playing dirty. They were causing confrontations. They were trying to interact with the referee, get him to make certain decisions. And yet these young players, once again, I will say these young players, going up against a bunch of experienced guys in Mexico, they were able to go through that and persevere and come up with a win. So just really, really proud of the team last night.
Yeah, it was nice to see that even the young guys responded to the adversity that hit them, especially very early in the game.
They went down twice.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
And then, like you said, within the first 70 seconds, they go down.
Yeah.
But once again, I just wanted to reiterate, this is a Mexican team that they have a lot of players that have played in 2, 3, 4 World Cups. Actually, maybe not 4. I don't know if Guardado and Ochoa have played in 4, but they played in 3 World Cups. We don't have players. The most our players have played in the World Cups is 1. John Brooks has played in a World Cup. DeAndre Yedlin has played in a World Cup. I think starting lineup-wise, I think those are the only 2 guys that have played in the World Cup. On Mexico, they've played in, they probably have 10 plus World Cups between all their players started that game. And in fact, I did the research and math. Mexico has 865 international caps between those players that played in that game. We had 370. So that is they had more than double the international caps. And I looked at it too. I didn't get the exact numbers, but when you put it from a competitive standpoint, like World Cup qualifiers, like games like this and the Gold Cup, like World Cups, they actually have like triple or quadruple the amount of caps that we do. So like I said, a way more experienced team. And that's what makes the win even sweeter for me.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We'll go through a timeline and then we'll kind of give our overall view and player ratings and stuff like that. But let's start off. We have to start off with the bad, obviously, because that's how the game started off. Actually, first of all, what did y'all think of the lineup? Because I did not like it at all.
I was going to say, we should start with kind of like what...
I tweeted about it on our fucking Twitter. I was like...
I didn't see any Sabre tweets, so I wasn't happy, man.
I tweeted on Twitter. I literally said, fire Greg. I was like, please prove me wrong, which I guess they kind of did, but also I don't know if that's entirely true. I think maybe his subs won the game, not really the starting lineup, but I guess they kind of proved me wrong. But before, when the lineup came out, I literally tweeted out on our Clueless Yanks account. Follow us on Twitter at Clueless Yanks. I said, fire Greg. I'm just done with that shit. I was so mad when I saw the lineup.
Yeah, because honestly, dude, I think Greg should be the head of our fucking recruiting for the U.S. team.
He is a really good recruiter.
Yeah, he's fucking phenomenal. And I think that
Kirby Smart.
Yeah, I think
not a great coach, but great recruiter.
Yeah, I think our coach should be Marsh. I think that's how it should be. I think that would be the best fit in my opinion. But yeah, no, I did not agree with the starting lineup. I think starting with Stefan in goal is fine, but I will say, dude, Horvath is he's proven himself multiple times now. So once we've said it before. Yeah, I would not mind if Horvath comes out as our number 1 in the next game we play. I also wouldn't mind if Stefan came out as our number 1. I feel like we have 2 guys that can come in and do the role just as good as the other one.
But at the time, you don't really have any problem with Stefan starting.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem.
Obviously, it seemed like we were going to play a back 5 with 2 midfielders, and then it looked like maybe dual number 10s and Reyna and Pulisic, and then Sargent up top.
But instead we did 3 at the back, and then 2 midfielders, and then 2 left and a right mid, and then a right wing, left wing, and striker. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that formation.
Tim Ream, This has nothing against Tim Ream. I don't mind Tim Ream against a lot of other teams in CONCACAF, but when you're asking him, because this is what happened. Obviously, he got put in situations where he was defending one-on-one against players that are a hell of a lot quicker and a hell of a lot trickier than him. And he should never be in a position like that. I can't blame him. Yeah. So that's something I didn't understand. Dest, I just think he almost didn't even play left back. He was playing left mid or left wing, which he's never really played that. So deciding to play him there against Mexico in a final is like, I guess. And then, Acosta starts. I was okay with it, to be honest with you, even though I wanted Musa because, if we're going to play a back three or back five, you think that gives a little bit more cover. So then maybe you don't really need a true number 6. But I was happy that he benched Yule for Acosta. So it could have been worse. But yeah, I didn't really the Tim Ream thing did not sit well with me at all. That really kind of pissed me off. And I didn't like the formation change. I don't know why we went to a back three. We played it once. We played it that one time under Berhalter, and we didn't play that well. It was when we played Northern Ireland in that friendly, and we didn't really play particularly well against them. And so, yeah, I don't like how we switched to it. But it comes to the fact that it actually didn't stay a back three for very long. It stayed a back three for about 60 seconds, and that reason being is because Kellen Acosta gives the ball away in midfield. Pisses within the first minute. He gives the ball away. He's not able to recover. They push the ball forward. I think it was Tecatito Corona takes a bad touch, and Mark McKenzie comes off of it. And he's just way too nonchalant. He just kind of, like he has all the time in the world, just kind of chilling on the ball. And he tries to flick it out to Yedlin, who's to his right. And Tecatito just takes it, intercepts the pass, goes through and blasts it into the upper part of the net. A horrible, horrible start.
Literally nightmare.
62 seconds into the game.
Nightmare.
62 seconds in the game. We, excited for the game, definitely nervous as well. We're like, oh, is this the time hopefully we can finally beat Mexico. And within 62 damn seconds, we are losing off of our own doing. Not something they did. It's because we just basically handed them a goal. I want y'all's take. Should Stefan have done better? And that's because obviously McKenzie, that was a horrible fuck up. You cannot do that, especially in a final. But what do y'all think about Stefan? Because I didn't think much about it, but then I heard someone say that Ethan Horvath literally made that save with his face against Switzerland.
Okay. All right. So, dude,
we have to be real because Stefan did kind of went like that, and it barely grazed by his ear into the.
Okay, we're talking about rocket coming at you that fast.
Yeah, well, I would put my fucking face in the rocket.
I don't even know how you stopped.
No, see, what you're saying is like he didn't want to use his face. I don't think that's the case at all. I think with him is he's got to do right there. You have to guess because he's blasting that shit. So you think, all right, I'm going to have my hand trying to cover near post with also my right leg trying to cover the bottom right post. And then I'm going to have my head for the far post and my left arm also for the far post. So I think he just took a position trying to block it any way he could. And he just, he guessed wrong, with his head
I've got
placement.
that shot on replay over here right now. And Logan's over here pointing out that it looks like he's pretty much dodging the ball.
And
he's moving out of the way to avoid it.
By the way, I'm not hating on Stefan. The blame in that situation is 100% on Mark McKenzie. Yeah. I just heard somebody. I was listening to a podcast or a review. I think it was on YouTube, and they brought up the fact that Horvath literally did the exact same, not the same kind of angle, but it was a tight angle, and the guy from Switzerland tried to hit it high and past him, and Horvath just kind of stood his ground, and it hit him directly in the fucking face. Whereas Stefan, you do kind of see in that situation, he does kind of turn or torque his body, which means he's not facing straight towards the player, which does make his body a little bit smaller and kind of gave Tecatito the angle. But I think most goalkeepers probably would have played it very similar in that spot, so I'm not really gonna blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that at all. I mean, that's 95% on McKenzie, and then I put the other 5 on Acosta for losing it in the midfield. But yeah, no, that's just it's a shitty start, and Stefan's probably like, holy fuck, it's 60 seconds in, and this guy's right in front of me. What the fuck? Yeah, so I don't blame him at all for.
Yeah, and so like I said, what we thought was a back 3 now turned into a back 4. McKenzie and Brooks were now the center back pairing. Yedlin's still at right back. And Ream was now at left back. I don't understand why. And then now Dest was playing as a left winger. He wasn't even. I don't think he defended at all in that game. So we switched up our formation basically immediately because we went down. And yeah, so let's move on to the next kind of important or timeline scenario.
Hold on, before we do that, I want to talk about Dest being on the left side and how almost he was kind of non-existent in that game. I feel like he's just uncomfortable on the left side because when you've been playing the right side for, basically your whole career, it's you get used to it and then you get good at it. And especially since he is, a righty, like that's just kind of your natural position. I just don't fucking think he's like comfortable over there. And when he tries to make something happen, it's like players know it's like, okay, well, he's gonna cut in on his right side, so let me just take that away. And when you take that away, it's like, oh well, what the fuck do I do now? Like, and the thing, I'm translating this almost kind of just comparing to what like I've experienced was back when I played football. I was on, a right tackle.
American football.
Well, yeah, American football. I was a right tackle in high school, and every now and then it's like they would try to move me at a left tackle if they needed me to, and it was just fucking awkward, and I wasn't as good as I was on the right side. I could do it okay if needed, but I was just better on the right side, and I felt more comfortable. And I think that's the same with Dest. At least it's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah, I do want to talk about like individuals later on, but I do want to go into Dest a little bit more, but we'll stick with the timeline for now. Let's move on to like the next thing that kind of happened that had a little bit of importance. I thought this was kind of weird, and I thought it was kind of like almost telling for the way that the match was going to go. In the 10th minute, John Brooks comes through, kind of behind on Chucky Lozano. Doesn't really hit him hard. He just kind of clips him like on the leg. First foul of the game for John Brooks, and the ref gives him a yellow card.
Yeah.
This was after, like, in the 6th or 7th minute, a Mexico player cleaned out one of our guys on an attack and did not get a yellow. And I think actually what happened is John Brooks went and complained to the Mexico, or not to the Mexico, I guess the Mexico ref, because it seemed like he was very pro-Mexico throughout the game. But
I guess he was Canadian.
He was Panamanian or whatever.
He looked like Central American.
But when that happened, he went and complained to the ref, and you kind of see the ref was annoyed with him. So maybe that's why he gave Brooks the yellow card when he committed the foul. But I thought that was a really stupid and soft foul, especially for CONCACAF standards, because apparently you can choke people out and not get any kind of card. So I don't really know why John Brooks gets a card for that. But I thought that was a little bit of foreshadowing for the way the game was going to go throughout that. The U.S. started off really slow, to be honest with you. You had Mexican fans chanting "Ole" several times early on in the game when they were passing the ball around and had lots of possession. It was not a good start. I would say the first 20, 30 minutes we weren't very great. But then, we started to come into the game. Mexico had a couple of attacks that were somewhat dangerous. They were really just hitting us over the top. It seemed like they kind of could tell that we were playing that high line, which I don't think we played it as high this game. And I think that was just naturally because we didn't have as much possession as we did in past games. So I think they could tell our weakness at the back was pace. I mean, you have John Brooks, who is not pacey. You have Mark McKenzie, who's not slow, but he's also not really fast. And you have Tim Ream, who is also not fast at all. So not very good pace back then. And Mexico thought they took the lead 2-0 in the 24th minutes off of a corner, a quick short corner. They passed it in. We were kind of asleep. Let a dude run right up to the ball to receive the corner. He got it, passed it back out wide for I forget who the Mexico player was that crossed it. And he crossed into the box, and Moreno, Mexico center back, was there to head it home to make it 2-0. Which would have been backbreaking. At this point, it could have been bad. I would have liked to see it. I mean, actually, I would not have liked to see that goal stand and see how he responded. It was nice that it did get disallowed for offsides, but I think if that held up, we might have, it could have gotten kind of weird, and you could have seen a 3-0, maybe 4-0. Who knows? Because this team did show a lot of fight during this game. But thankfully, that was called offside. It was actually a lot closer than I originally thought, because I remember when they scored it, I was like, okay, he's offside by a mile. I don't know why they allowed it. But then when you watch on replay, Tim Ream's back foot, it's like he's running, and like his whole body is clearly like the dude's like a yard offside, but his back foot as he's running is very close to being level with the Mexican attacker. But I guess he was offside. It was probably just a few inches he was offside.
Those Tim Ream's one bright spot in the game.
The fact that he was just barely playing the dude offside. So yeah, that's disallowed. Very fortunately, and just like that, 3 minutes later, we get a corner of our own. Pulisic puts it in the box. Weston McKennie, a very common theme for this game. I don't know how the dude is so fucking good at rising off corners. I just think he's a very good athlete and has a really nice vertical, and is very just athletic. He's good at rising in the air especially off corners. He judges the ball well, but he rises like a salmon from a freshwater stream. Unfortunately, beautiful header. Unfortunately, hits off the post. but Gio Reyna is there, the 18-year-old in his first ever game against Mexico, his first ever game introducing himself to the rivalry. He introduces himself in style. He gets the goal, prods it home, kind of a poacher's goal. I mean, pretty easy finish, to be honest with you, but you got to be in the right position to score, and he did it. I thought it was cool. It was seeing his dad, obviously men's national team legend, Claudio Reyna, celebrating with his mom, and I think that was his brother as well in the stands. So that was cool. They were showing him, and Reyna all fired up. It's 1-1. The boys are back into the game. The crowd's back into it. Well, the American portion of the crowd, which is probably only about 30% of the fans in the stands. But the crowd's back into it. We're right back into the game. And I thought that kind of like almost settled our nerves a little bit. I think we started to play a lot better after that. It was like we kind of needed that, especially these young players. They're playing a lot of them playing in their first ever final for the national team. And I think maybe there was just some nerves, and maybe they didn't realize how big of a game it was going to be. And I think this just kind of helped the team settle in and helped us going forward. After that, for the rest of the first half, to be fair, it was kind of like back and forth. It was, Mexico had some good moments. Once again, they were just putting balls over the top, trying to take advantage of our. Okay, you're just. Why do you look at me like that?
What are you talking about?
I say balls over the top, and Sling just looks at me like I said some dirty shit.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
I mean, they weren't sending from
they're
Okay.
they're putting balls in over the top. Might have to pause this podcast and take care of Sling, but no, they're putting balls through over the top, over and over again, trying to take advantage of our lack of pace up top. And McKenzie, once again, gets caught on the ball for a second time in that half. And it almost resulted in another Mexico goal. But I think it was maybe Brooks was able to nick it away or somebody like that. We were able to get it away from them, or their attack petered out before they could really get anything to go. But in the 35th minute, McKinney won the ball in midfield. It sprung a Gio Reyna down the side with a good pass, who put a quick cross into the box, almost got to Josh Sargent on the back post. He was open. It was like Gio kind of put a little bit too much pace on it, didn't really give Sargent a chance to get there. Would have been a really, really nice goal because it was well worked. After McKinney won the ball, he made a really good pass to Reyna, who outpaced the fullback from Mexico before putting in the ball into the box. Unfortunately, it was just, like I said, it was too hard for Sargent, and remained 1-1. As we move later into the first half, at the end of the first half, and Zach Steffen makes a huge save. Chucky Lozano was played through on goal. I honestly think it was offside. They showed a replay, and it looked like it was offside. And so if he scored, it probably would have been chalked off. But he's put through on goal. Lozano's 1-on-1 with Steffen. It's like in the 43rd minute, right before halftime. He makes a huge save. He dives to his left and saves it. It goes out for either a throw-in or a corner. I think it was a corner because I was like, if they score off this corner, I'm going to be pissed because it did look like he was offside. But that was a big save from Steffen to keep the game at level going into the halftime. And
you think he wanted to get out of the way of that one? You think
he did use his hands, not his body, if we're keeping it a stack.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first half, I don't know. I thought Mexico was better, to be honest with you. I thought that obviously they scored 2 goals. One of them got disallowed. They had that other really good chance with Lozano. We really only had the one good chance off the corner, and then Reyna kind of missed Sargent on what could have been another good chance. But I thought Mexico was the better side in the first half. And I thought we started to grow into it at the end of the half, because I just think that for some of these players I've seen the game, I think that a few of them were like, oh, we play in Europe, we play these big clubs, we know what big games are like, but I think it's just different on an international level. Yeah. And USA-Mexico there's a hatred between those two teams. And I think that some of them underestimated how intensive a game was going to be. So we move into the second half. And the U.S. right away, they just look better. We're better in possession. We're more comfortable on the ball. We're controlling the game a hell of a lot better. I don't know if it's tired legs from Mexico or whatever it was. Maybe Greg said some good things at halftime, but I thought we were the better side in the second half. We had a bunch of corners. McKinney, like we said, it was a common theme throughout the game. He kept winning headers off corners. He won, a couple more in that half. That one was a good save by Ochoa. Another one, I think he put over, just hit directly to Ochoa. And I think Mark McKenzie also won a corner off, or a header off of a corner that went straight to Ochoa. But we were very threatening, especially off set pieces. I thought we used our physicality really well in this game. But it just kind of started to get stale. And we did bring on, in the 60th minute, we brought on Timothy Waya for Serginho Dest, which before the game you'd think, why the hell are you bringing on a winger for a fullback? But the way the game ended up going, obviously we were playing Dest as a winger at that point. So it kind of made sense. I thought Waya came on and provided a bunch of energy, a lot of pace, and threat in his attacking play. And I thought that he changed the game for us. I thought he played really, really well as a good substitution by Greg. Like I said earlier, I don't like Greg's starting lineup, but at the same time, I think his substitutions may have ultimately won us the game. And right away, we had a really good break with Waya involved. Pulisic made a beautiful turn in the middle of the field, and he fed McKinney, who became open in the midfield because Waya made that run to the outside and pulled a center back with him. And McKinney probably should have slotted Waya or Sargent, but for some reason he decided to shoot. It wasn't a bad shot. I mean, he hit it with good pace, but it was just too close to Ochoa. And Ochoa made the save and parried it back out to Sargent. And I've got to say, Sargent really probably should at least be putting that on target. It's not easy. It's not an easy save, or it's not an easy shot because he is kind of like running to the side to try and hit it back towards the goal, and it's also like up at his like waist area. So it's not an easy finish by any means, but it's a shot that he has to at least make Ochoa make a save out of. And so that was unfortunate. We should have probably been up 2-1 in that situation, if we're being real. Either McKinney should have made a better decision in that spot, or Sargent should have pounced on the rebound a lot better than that. But it remains 1-1. Mexico, they make a couple substitutions within the next 10-15 minutes. They bring on Diego Lainez of importance, obviously, as we're about to get onto that. He comes on, proclaimed by the Mexican fans as the Mexican Messi. He came on, and he was pretty good. As soon as he came on, I think he was on for literally like 2 or 3 minutes, and he was running directly at Tim Ream, which once again, I don't. Yeah, just
why the fuck is he playing?
The entire game, Mexico said, "Okay, Tim Ream, run at that motherfucker. Okay, when we can get McKenzie isolated against Tecatito." But Mexico clearly identified Ream and McKenzie as weaknesses when they were isolated against their wingers, and in this case, Lainez was isolated against Ream, and he let him cut into his left, which I don't. Okay, I have two takes on this. I don't know why he's letting him cut onto his left, but he does know that he had either Brooks or McKenzie like on his right inside of him. So okay, pause.
Whoa! Wait a minute! Whoa!
Elite pause. Holy shit!
Play it back.
Oh my god! To the inside. Like to his inside, okay, not inside of him.
His cheeks, right?
We know what you mean. Sure, kid.
He was to the right of him. Lainez's left. Jesus Christ, Lainez's left. So maybe he's thinking that McKenzie would cover that if he lets him cut onto his left. And to be fair, if Ream let Lainez go onto his right, there was no one there to help him because at that point, I think, Waya was in the game. We weren't playing a back five or anything, obviously, so we didn't really have a left back. Ream was that left back there. So we didn't have any help to his left. But at the same time, if you're thinking about, like, let's just say from a FIFA standpoint, right? Lainez literally has, like, a one-star fucking weak foot. Let him go onto his right. Instead, he lets him cut onto his left. He blasts it near post, kind of wrong foots Horvath. They take the 2-1 lead. It just had a sense of deja vu for me. I remember in the Gold Cup a couple of years ago, Jonathan Dos Santos scored in like the 80th minute to give them the win. I remember in Columbus in World Cup qualifying in 2016, I think is when they played that. What's his name? It was Rafa Marquez, I think, scored in like the fucking 80-something minute off the corner. It was just a sense of deja vu. I was like, did they really just beat us in the final minutes once again? And I was very depressed. I was very upset. I was very sad because, like I said, I thought we played a lot better in the second half than we did in the first half, and yet we had nothing to show for it, and they got a goal off of a good piece of personal skill by Lainez and a good shot. But
wait, hold on. You went right into Lainez's goal, but you missed in the 70th to 75 minute range. We had two corners where Ochoa saved the ball right off.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier when I said, like, McKinney multiple times and McKenzie had.
There was one, though, where, like, I mean, he had to make a save where he was laying out.
Yeah, that was the one off of McKinney. And then another one off McKenzie. The other one off McKenzie went right to him. But, yeah. But once again, the boys they went back for the second time. Or they went down for the second time in this game, and they come back for the second time. The young lads, the young baby Nats, they're growing up. They're growing up in front of our own eyes, showing character, showing fights. Weston McKennie for like the third or fourth time this game rises up again, wins another header off of a corner. You'd think the guy is like Cristiano Ronaldo or some shit in the air. Hey, maybe he's learning maybe he's learning from Cristiano at Juventus, but he rises up once again, heads it away from Ochoa just enough. He heads it into the corner. Ochoa does get a hand on it, but he's not able to get enough on it. He's only able to save it into the side of the net. It's a goal. It's a 2-2 game at that point. A huge goal. You can see the guys go over and celebrate with Berhalter. I kind of like that. You know, it seems like, we can say what we want about Berhalter from a tactics standpoint, but these guys seem to like him and like to play for him. So that is something that is important as a manager. And then, for the rest of the regular time, at that point, Tyler Adams and Sebastian Lletget are brought on. Lletget comes on for Gio Reyna, and Adams comes on for Tim Ream at that point, which was interesting because it's like, okay, you're bringing on a defensive midfielder for a guy that was playing left back at that point. It slotted Kellen Acosta over into left back, and now Adams was playing in that midfield role where Acosta was. And I got to give it to Acosta. He slotted over into left back and pretty much dealt with Linus for the rest of the game. Yeah, he did have help. We tried to double up on him, but I thought that worked really well. And it's almost like, hey, Greg, maybe you should have done that a little bit earlier than you did. And maybe Linus would have never scored that goal in the first place. But we're now playing in a 4-3-3. It's across the back line. It's from left to right. It's Adams, Brooks, McKenzie, Yedlin, and then in the midfield it was Adams. Wait, I said Adams before, didn't I?
Yeah.
It was Acosta at left back, not Adams. Yeah. It's Adams in the midfield, McKennie in the midfield, and then Lletget in the midfield, and then up top was Pulisic. Was Sabichu in at that time? Yeah. I think he was in at that time. So it was Pulisic, Sabichu, and Timothy Waya up top. So we're in a 4-3-3. And the last couple of minutes, like I said, we played well in the first half, but the last few minutes of regular time, those first 90 minutes, Horvath made a couple of clutch saves. Lozano, we let him cut from the left onto his right, and he got away a pretty nice shot looking for the top corner. Horvath makes a save he probably should be making, but it wasn't an easy save by any means. Pushes it out for a corner. And then a couple minutes later, in the 92nd minute, Horvath made a freaking incredible save, one-on-one save with, I believe it was Henry Martin, that was brought on from Mexico. He just a great save, diving to his left. It was kind of similar to the save that Stefan made on Lozano earlier in the game, except this one was called offside. So even if he did put it away, it would have been disallowed. The official did raise their offside flag after he shot the ball, as they're instructed to do. So that was about that for the Nope. Actually, nope. We have one more thing before that. Not really a footballing standpoint, but Mexico plays a ball through, or I think it was Hector Herrera actually tried to do a skill on Brooks, and Brooks was just an absolute rock this entire tournament, by the way. He read it and basically just sealed him off, and Horvath came to collect it. Herrera goes two studs up into Ethan Horvath's chest. Doesn't make a ton of contact, so I understand why it's only a yellow card. But then we have another CONCACAF moment, another typical USA-Mexico moment, a coming together of sorts, a little scuffle. Hector Herrera grabs Weston McKennie by the throat. Of course, we have VAR, video assistant review, that everybody that was watching the game can clearly see because they showed a freaking replay of it, that he grabs him by the throat, which is a clear as day red card. Somehow it's just not reviewed by VAR for whatever reason. He's not sent off. He only gets a yellow. And actually, I believe Weston McKennie got a yellow because he was upset that happened. He was upset that he got choked, and so he gets a yellow for it, but the guy that did the choking didn't get shit for it, so that's cool.
Welcome to the CONCACAF.
Yeah, and then also one more thing before the end of regulation. The game actually had to be paused because, Mexican fans were doing their normal homophobic chant that they like to do. I'm not going to repeat it, obviously, but the game had to be stopped for a minute or two because of that. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. These Mexican fans, I'm not even going to lie, dude, they're ridiculous. They're they're like the sorest, like when anything goes against them, they're the sorest losers and like some of the biggest scumbags out there. I have to be real. It is a little bit ridiculous. And we'll get on to even more of that as we move into extra time. But the game is stopped, and eventually the match resumes with a drop ball, but the whistle is blown basically right away, and we are on to extra time. Starting off in extra time in the 94th minute, only a few minutes in, Hector Herrera, who has already gotten a yellow card, should have also gotten a red card. So he's accumulated 1.5 red cards already, has now done a studs-up tackle late on Timothy Waya while on a yellow card. Once again, does not get a second yellow. He should have been sent off twice in this game, but is somehow still on the pitch. I don't know how. I genuinely don't know how. Like I said earlier, there's some foreshadowing the fact that John Brooks gets a yellow card for barely touching Lozano in his own half. Within like the first 10 minutes of the game. It's his first foul of the game as well, and he gets a yellow card. But Hector Herrera, who could have gotten sent off twice, is somehow still on the pitch at this game at this point. And honestly, at that time, I was thinking Hector Herrera is going to score like a fucking 123rd minute winner and win the game, isn't he? But we'll see about that. Obviously, that did not end up coming to fruition. I thought the first half of the extra time was kind of almost like, I don't know. It just wasn't a lot of stuff going on. I thought there was kind of cagey. Horvath made like a decent save on a shot by Lozano, but it wasn't really like a great shot. It wasn't a huge chance. It was through traffic from a long ways out. And yeah, that was just about it. I mean, that's the end of the first half of extra time. The U.S. brings on Reggie Cannon for DeAndre Yedlin to start the second half of extra time. That's our final sub. And this is when absolute chaos ensued. In the 108th minute of the game, Christian Pulisic goes into the box, takes a little bit of a heavy touch, but he's still trying to get to the ball, and the Mexican defender just steps right across from him. And I thought it was a penalty at first, and because you could clearly see it to me that it didn't look like the Mexico guy touched the ball, and he just steps across Pulisic and impedes his way of running through. And I thought it was a penalty at first, and they eventually did go to VAR, and when they were showing on VAR, it was like, you know, I could see this being given and I could see it not being given because at the same time he does step across Pulisic and cut him off, but he also did touch the ball with his other foot that didn't step across from Pulisic. So I could have seen it given either way. What did y'all think it was era penal or no era penal?
Era penal.
See, I think that I know we haven't gotten to it yet, but if you're going to give that penalty to Mexico, then you give that penalty to us. Like, it's like if you're going to call one of those, then call the other. But I think if that penalty against us doesn't get called, I don't know, man. I just think he gets ball. Dude, it's tough. Dude.
I just think this is like one of the most
bang.
peak like CONCACAF games in recent memory, to be honest with you. Just complete fucking chaos, and that's why CONCACAF is a beautiful thing. If you win, if you lose, it's like what the fuck.
Did you also notice whenever that fucking ref called a fucking PK, he was like, boom! Like
he was like, first down!
Yeah, dude, he called that shit with some authority on both of them.
Kind of got me hype.
Once again, like I was talking about, Mexico tried to pull out all the stops in this game. They were surrounding the referee as he was going to the VAR screen. Tata Martino, the head coach of Mexico, literally walked up to
it was like hugging him.
Had his arm around him and got sent off rightfully for doing that, trying to obviously kind of impact the decision. Yeah. So he gets sent off. The referee does eventually give a penalty. Our guy Christian Pulisic steps up to an absolutely torn up penalty spot. I don't know. I'm sure if you were watching, some of y'all might have missed it, but I didn't. You could see the penalty spot, like where you plant. So for Pulisic, obviously he's right-footed, takes the penalty right-footed. When you plant your left foot right next to the penalty spot, it was literally just like a half a foot by a foot wide of just pure mud. Because while there was a referee review, they were just tearing that shit up in the case that there was a penalty. And yeah, so he steps up and he says, I have to be honest with you, I was not like, I thought I would be nervous because I've seen Pulisic take penalties before and he's not like particularly great at it. But for some reason, I was just like, dude, he's going to bury this shit. I don't know why, but I just thought he was going to bury it. And that dude puts that shit upper 90 to Ochoa's left.
Yeah.
Like no keeper in the world is saving that. One of the best penalties you'll see. And then takes his shirt off, runs straight to Mexican fans in the
Look
corner.
at my titties. Look at my titties, Mexico.
Look at his goddamn titties.
Look at his tits.
They're throwing beer bottles. They're throwing soda cans. They're probably throwing like water bottles full of piss at him. That's what they do in the Azteca. They probably do it. They're probably doing it there in Denver as well.
How many putos do you think we said? Oh, God. I can't even imagine.
Gringo and all that good stuff. They were saying a ton of.
And all Pulisic had to do.
Shushing the crowd. It comes out with one of the most like the coldest pictures. Whoever took that picture, oh my God!
Yeah,
you have a talent, sir or man. Whoever that was,
shit, he deserves something.
That picture. If you are on U.S. Men's National Team Twitter, you know exactly what picture we're talking about. That picture was freaking amazing. Yeah. Him just shushing the crowd. Oh God, it's just beautiful. Once again, this comes back to like I talked about earlier, the scumbagness. I don't know if that's a word, but
Close
the scum that is
scumminess
that was shown from the Mexican fans in this game. Once again, throwing shit at the players. They drilled Gio Reyna in the head, like right in the temple with a full looked like I think it was a Coke bottle or something like that.
Oh, I'm had.
I showed Sling the picture. That's why he said that.
And he like was on the ground for like a minute or two and had to get looked at. I don't know if he was concussed for a second there or what, but once again, I don't understand. We have in the U.S. the Brooklyn Nets and Celtics series, a Boston fan threw an empty water bottle at Kyrie Irving, didn't hit him, but now that dude is literally has been arrested. I think he's in jail right now. There's charges being pressed towards him, and he's banned from Celtics games in the future. And yet Mexican fans threw like 100+ bottles and shit onto the pitch, and nothing was done about it. I genuinely think CONCACAF has to do something about this because it's getting ridiculous at this point. They are the sorest fucking losers I have ever seen in my life. And this happens every single time they play us or they play any other team in CONCACAF. If they lose, they just throw a hissy fit like they're 2 years old and throw temper tantrums and just think they can do whatever the hell they want. It was ridiculous. And we got the last laugh. And the reason we got that last laugh is because in the 116th minute, or 119th minute, Mexico got a shot off in the box. Mexico starts to claim a handball off that shot. It goes out, I think, eventually for either a goal kick or a corner. But before the corner or goal kick is taken, there is a VAR review. And once again, the official goes over to the VAR screen. In the 122nd minute of the game, he eventually gives a penalty kick to Mexico. I don't understand what McKenzie is supposed to do there. The ball does hit him on his arm, but he's like moving around and jumping in the box, and his arm is like slightly out from his side. Nobody ever has their arms tucked into their side while they're running and jumping. Like that just doesn't make any kind of physical sense. And so obviously that's a natural position. It wasn't an unnatural position. So that was very, very unfortunate. I didn't think it was a penalty. At the same time, I thought our penalty was also soft. So I don't know if you can complain about it too much. I probably would be complaining a shit ton if they scored and then beat us on penalties or some shit. But we all know what happens next. Andres Guardado, who is a very good penalty kick taker, a seasoned Mexican international, has played 100+ caps, has played in multiple World Cups, has played at some of the highest levels in football, steps up to the penalty spot. Look, our players didn't need to tear up the penalty spot next to him because we knew that we had the big man.
You know that motherfucker sucks dick. We knew we had big dick Horvath up in the net, baby.
We have the big man Ethan Horvath, who was actually coming into that game, saved his last 2 penalties for Club Bruges at his club level. And so he comes into that game facing Andres Guardado. Not going to lie to you, I kind of expected Guardado to put that shit away, but he takes a penalty that wasn't that great, and Horvath guesses the right way and immediately just becomes like – that is a moment that will live on in U.S. men's national team like history for forever. Yeah. He becomes that dude that makes the penalty save. And from there on, it's just us being – I thought we actually for the next 7-8 minutes of the game that was left, because there was like 10 minutes of added time, I thought that we just played really, really well. We were kicking up the field. We were holding possession to the corners. We weren't really allowing them to do anything. They were playing long balls. We were dealing with it. But Horvath becomes the fucking hero. What a moment. I was watching the game, probably almost woke up the entire house. I think it was like 11:45 or some shit like that when that was saved. And I was screaming, watching the game on my computer. So that was a beautiful moment.
Whoa, hold it down.
Hold it down.
That was a beautiful moment. And yeah, the U.S., they go on, they hold on the rest of the game. In the 130th minute, the final whistle is blown. They actually ended up playing a total of 140 minutes that game because there was 10 minutes of added time at the end of regular time as well. They played 100. They had played 100 minutes originally, and then played an extra 40 minutes after that. So 140 minutes of an all-out CONCACAF brawl against your hated rival, and this team comes out with the victory. Just absolutely, absolutely beautiful.
Absolute scenes.
I don't think you could have written a better script than that. Like that was beautiful.
And then the scenes, they're all celebrating, running to each other. They all ran. They dogpiled Horvath after the game. After the final whistle was blown. Just wonderful, wonderful scenes, and all those angry Mexican fans in the crowd, they went home after that. As the American Outlaws and all the rest of the U.S. fans, they stayed and watched the team celebrate, lifting their first ever trophy as a group. The first trophy that the U.S. men's national team has won since the 2017 Gold Cup. It's actually not that long ago, but it's almost a completely different team from that. Because I don't even know what player from that team is on this roster. There's probably only a few of them. So they come out victorious. Let's jump into some player ratings. I'm gonna start with we'll start with goalkeeper. I'm gonna run around the room actually. So
You're gonna run around the room.
Yeah, physically run around the room.
Hamstring a ball.
But I'm gonna start with Sling. We'll go to Jake. We'll go back to me, and we'll all give our ratings. Like for each individual player, we're only gonna give. So like for Sling, we'll start off with Stefan. He'll get to rate Stefan, then you'll rate whoever's after that, and then I'll rate whoever's after that, and we'll just go around the room. And we can dispute each other's ratings, but only one rating will be given. So, Sling, what are you giving Zach Steffen before he got injured in the game?
Salem.
Because you're over here twerking for him.
Salem.
Salem? That means 7, by the way. But, I think that's probably about fair. I don't really think he did anything wrong. There is a little bit of debate besides the goal, but I'm not really blaming him for that. And he did make a really nice save on Lozano as well. So, I think that's fair.
I think 7 as well. Because it's like you could say he should have made that first save, but he did make that really clutch save when it was
to keep it 1-1 right before halftime.
That's huge momentum if you're Mexico if y'all score that, and who knows how it would have gone after that. But yeah, I say a 7. He didn't really do anything wrong. He didn't do anything spectacular. This is about right for him.
Jake, what are you giving? We'll start with center backs because we went from a back 3 to a back 5 to a back 4. I don't even know what the fuck we were playing it, but we'll just start at center backs. What are you giving Mark McKenzie for this game?
Ooh. He's definitely had better games, I will say that. I think, obviously, that the first minute is a terrible mistake, and that definitely doesn't help your grade out at all, being the cause of the first goal. He also, he got a yellow card on a foul, which, I was okay with that.
Well, I do have to say, I don't think I mentioned this when we were going through the timeline, but there was like one point, I don't remember if it was in the first or second half, that I think it might have been the second half, but he was basically one-on-one with Lozano, and Lozano was running straight at him, which is not an easy thing to defend. And he was like twisting in and out, and McKenzie somehow there was multiple times where it looked like he was going to go in for a challenge to try and block a shot, but Lozano kept fake shooting and kept going back onto his other foot. And McKenzie somehow stayed on his feet the entire time, and then eventually put in a really nice block that prevented Lozano from scoring. So even though he did have the mistake, that was a really nice moment from him in that regard as well. I forgot to mention that.
I think because you have to take into account, his mistake and the yellow card. But other than that, I think he played solid. I'm probably going to give him – I'd probably also give him like a 7, maybe a 6. But
so I think you can't give him more than like a 5, to be honest with you.
Damn.
Because he has that, the mistake is just so huge.
Yeah, it is.
You can't make the mistake. Besides that, he might have been a 7, but when you make a mistake like that, I think that's got to drop your rating a little bit.
Astronomical.
Yeah, so
down astronomical.
I'll go with 6.
I'm gonna rate John Brooks. Brooks is the man. He's our best. I feel like he's maybe our most consistent player. You're going to get from him. He's just a really solid center back. He wins basically everything in the air. He's like, from a positioning standpoint, like reading the game, he's like so good. He knows when to put his foot in to make a challenge. He knows when to kind of back off. Yeah, I'm gonna give him an 8. I thought he was really, really good in the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. And plus, like his yellow card was soft as shit. That's not
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And the thing is, too, you get a yellow card like that in that game in the 10th minute, and you have to play 130 more minutes after that, and he didn't even come close to getting a second yellow.
Yeah, because I mean that, especially at a center back, that changes how you have to play the rest of the game. You can't make those 50-50. If I don't win the ball right here, this could definitely be a yellow. It's like you have to kind of be a little more precautious, and he handled it very well, like a veteran should.
Sling, what are you giving old Timothy Ream?
Like a 4. I'll go 4.
That's fair. I mean, I don't really blame him, but
he should be the starting line.
He was set up to fail, and he failed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to get upset at him.
It's almost like the bar was so low, and he just kind of met that bar.
Yeah.
So
I didn't really expect anything more or anything less from him, to be honest. If he was in a situation where he had cover and was able to read the game instead of having to defend one-on-one against guys who get pace, he probably would have been all right. But he was in a situation where he would have had to defend guys one-on-one that have pace, and he did not do all right. So it is what it is. I didn't really expect anything different from him. But he does get a 4 because he didn't play very well, even though it wasn't really his own. It wasn't that much of his own fault. Jake, what are you going to give Serginho Dest?
Dude, like a 4.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
He had I remember there was one.
I think genuinely he might have actually been our worst player on the pitch.
Yeah, there was one point where we could have had a counter, and he was right on the ball, and it was coming down to him, and he just straight up missed it. And then Mexico retook possession and got another attack off of it. When if he would have got that, we had a few players that were ready for that counter, and he just didn't. And then we were talking about it earlier. He's just out of position, and his touch wasn't there. He just wasn't that game-changing player that he has been in the past. So I think he just played really bad. Which it's tough that it had to be this game of all games that you're going to play bad. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 4 for him.
Yeah, Serginho had one good moment in the game. He had one run where he got the ball in his own half and ended up dribbling all the way to their byline, dribbled 60, 70 yards, went by 3 Mexico players in the process of it. I think they even fouled him while he was out of bounds, and he fought through it and kept running, although I don't really think he ended up putting in a great cross. Never really came to anything, but that was the only good moment he had the entire game. I thought, number one, even though he might have been playing as a left mid or a left wing, he provided Ream with no cover whatsoever. He wasn't tracking back and helping Ream defend basically at all, which, you'd think with a guy that's naturally a fullback, he'd be good at that, but he just wasn't, and he didn't provide enough going forward to justify that. And I also thought at multiple times, at several occasions, he was just ghosting. You never really saw him popping up in spots that you would think he was going to be. I genuinely think that I talked about it earlier that for some of these guys, I think that they were shocked with how intense the game was and how big of an occasion it was. And I think he was one of those guys. I don't think he realized how intense this game was going to be and how much it means to both sides. And I think that he was honestly kind of in a little bit of a shell shock situation. And I think he rightfully got subbed. I think he was the first person that got subbed in that game. I think rightfully so. I think that was probably Serginho's worst performance, honestly, as a U.S. men's national team player. But he's 20, 21 years old. He's got plenty of room to grow. And hopefully we stop fucking playing him on the left side and let him play on the right in his natural position.
I just don't get why we play him on the left side. Fuck.
So, yeah, Berhalter didn't really do him any favors there, but we know Dest has talent to do a hell of a lot better than he did in that position because he's put in that position against Jamaica and put in a man-of-the-match performance, and he was probably our worst player yesterday, him and Ream, basically. That left side of that defense was just not good at all. Moving on to the right back, I almost forgot about him, DeAndre Yedlin. That's me. I will give Yedlin, I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he was solid defensively, and I thought he didn't really provide us much going forward. So that's why I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he was good enough. I mean, I don't think there's much of a difference between him and Reggie Cannon, to be honest with you. I don't really have a preference between either one of them. My preference is Dest at right back and Robinson at left back. But if we are going to play Dest at left back, which please stop Berhalter, like we just said. But if that is what he wants to do, I really don't care too much whether it's Yedlin or Cannon. I actually maybe would even say I'd rather have Yedlin out there just because I don't. I feel
Two
like
reasons for
Yedlin.
me.
What is it?
One, the experience. He's
Mhm.
played right back in the World Cup, like one of the biggest stages of them all, and he's been solid. He's still got phenomenal pace. And the other thing is that man brings that fucking fire. And I
That's
love
true.
that shit. That man is super passionate. He's not afraid to fucking get up in a Mexican dude's face. I love the fucking energy that he brings. So those are my two reasons on why I'd like him over Cannon.
Yeah, I think. I feel like I don't know. Yedlin to me, he almost seems a little bit more defensively sound than Cannon, even though I'm pretty sure Cannon is supposed to be our like safe right back that's supposed to be defensively sound. But I thought Yedlin in that game defended pretty well for the most part. I mean, he was defending against Tecatito, who's like a really, really tricky winger. And I mean, majority of the time he did good enough. So I was impressed enough with Yedlin to be like, okay, he's definitely a part of the squad going forward. But he gets a 6 for me just because he didn't really do anything going forward. And I expect a little bit more from him in that respect. Moving on to the midfield, what are you giving Sling? What are you giving Weston McKennie?
Might be another 7 for me. Maybe a 6.
See, I think up.
Yeah, what?
Even better.
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh, did
scored
have
a
a goal.
he scored
Oh,
a
I forgot
goal.
about his goal. Fuck.
And
Wasn't
he
he also man of the tournament or something like that?
Yeah, he was man of the match too.
Yeah.
And he also like kind of got a de facto assist too because I was his header off the post that Reyna scored. This motherfucker Sling is he's a douchebag. Bro, it's like we were doing player ratings last week. Or actually no, you were overrating players on the Arsenal thing. He gave Leno like an 8. I was like, what the fuck? Sling's maybe not that great at these player ratings. This isn't his cup of tea.
I'm giving him a 7. So he's
That's
fucking
terrible.
bitch.
Nah, all right. I'm giving him more than that.
I think
He missed a goal. He fucking hit
So-
post on a header. He got lucky on his other goal, whatever.
Oh, he got lucky,
in
yeah.
there. So I'll give him a 7.
I think the lowest I give McKinney is an 8, and I think
I'm giving him a 9 because
Yeah,
he was
I was gonna say,
with the smoke. He was there for all the bullshit,
Facts.
especially late in the game. But he was he was with all the smoke with the Mexican players. Look, Herrera tried to choke him out. He didn't fucking care. He was going right back at Mexico players. He was up for the battle, and that for me is why
and he got choked.
I'd give him a 9.
6. Never mind.
all right.
All right. Sling might not be a part of this
This guy
podcast
Mexican
going
fan?
forward.
What a Mexican joke.
No, but he also, dude, McKinney is so fucking funny to watch. Like, there's multiple times where like he'd kind of be like talking to the ref after something questionable happened.
Oh, yeah.
and he'll just shoot him like these like weird like
No, yeah,
looks
that
or
was-
faces. Like,
It was
like,
the
you know,
one at the end of the first half of added time.
yeah, when he blew the whistle
Waya-
at the end of the counter.
Waya and Pulisic were 2-on-2 with 2 of Mexico's defenders. And actually, I think it was about to be a 1-on-2 because one of the Mexico defenders slid in and didn't take the ball off of Waya, bounced right back to him.
Yeah.
And the fucking ref blows the whistle. And yeah, like you said, McKinney didn't like go up and argue with him. He just kind of went up and like smirked at him and just like looked at him weird and was like,
He's
"Really,
like, come
dude?
on, man.
Really? That's what you're gonna do
You
here?
probably could have let us counter.
Come
right
on,
there.
the jig's up, bro. We know what you're trying to do." Yeah, I just his little mannerisms and the fact that he's always there for this, coming with his smoke. I love McKinney for that, and I think he's one of those players along with like Brooks, and I think even Reyna to an extent. They're there for the bullshit. You need players like that in CONCACAF because we got to be honest. As much as we love Pulisic, he did have like the nice little shushing moment, but like with opposing players, he doesn't really get involved with that kind of stuff. And so you need players like McKinney, like Brooks, that are gonna
because literally all of Mexico does it. Like all of their teams,
and all of Honduras does it, and most of Costa Rica, all of Panama, because they know a team like the U.S. is one of the best teams, and right now the best team in CONCACAF. You got to kind of pull some other shenanigans and try and get some players in trouble to be able to beat them. So it's nice having a guy like Reyna or McKinney that is there for the bullshit, but he also he doesn't cross a line either to where he gets himself in trouble. He does it to an extent that he still is not going to get in trouble with the referee.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sling is just harsh. I don't know what the fuck that rating
It was
was.
a good 7 out.
It was a good 9 outing for man of the match and man of the tournament. Weston McKinney, you will show fucking respect to Weston.
You will suck my balls.
I won't. I just won't do that. Jake, what are you giving Kellen Acosta?
He actually surprised me. I was kind of curious as to what Greg was, going for when he started him because I didn't think he would. Because you've mentioned it before. I figured they were going to put in Musa to partner with McKinney in the midfield. Well, we thought a lot of shit was going to be different with this formation and everybody that we played. But I did not think Acosta was going to be starting. I was a little questioned. I was like, don't know if I agree with that, but I think he actually surprised me. I think he played very solid. He filled his role pretty well. He did end up getting a yellow card. But, outside of that, I think he did what he needed to do in the midfield, especially partnering with McKennie. I think I'd give him a 6 to 7 rating, maybe like a 7. I'll give him a 7.
I agree with that because I like to judge players based off of like what you expect as well. And Acosta came in and immediately, just from like an athletic standpoint and the way he defends, he was an immediate upgrade on Jackson Ewell.
Yeah,
I think right now, if Tyler Adams is not healthy, it should be Kellen Acosta playing that spot. You shouldn't even think about Jackson Ewell. No offense to the guy. He's just not in a game against decent CONCACAF competition or like good competition elsewhere in other confederations. He's not good enough to play in that game just because he's just limited from an athletic standpoint, and he doesn't do other things well that make up for his lack of athleticism. Now, Acosta is not some brilliant dribbler. He's not some brilliant passer, just like Ewell. He's not brilliant at that either. But Acosta's a good athlete, and he's pretty good defensively. He'll get stuck in a challenge. And it's not like he's bad at passing or dribbling either. He's just like, he's okay at it. He's good enough. And I thought that he defended well in that defensive mid spot. He was always kind of in the right positions to cut out plays, and at least like even if he's not cutting out the play, he's slowing stuff down. That way they're not just able to run through right on our defense. And then I was really, really impressed when he switched to left back when Adams came in, and then he replaced basically Ream at left back. And Linez was their most dangerous player at that time. And for the rest of the game, I mean, Linez, yes, he looks dangerous when he's on the ball, but it never came to anything because Acosta defended him really, really well and made him go onto his right, which he's not as good at as his left. And yeah, I was really impressed with Acosta in that game. I agree with a 7. For me, I thought I feel like if Jackson Ewell starts in that game, I don't think we win that game. I think that Kellen Acosta was a big reason as to why we won that game. Moving on to the attack, I'm going to rate Christian Pulisic. I'm going to give Pulisic an 8. And the reason why is that that's 100% why. I would have literally given him like a 4 or a 5. And a normal PK, because he was just not – he was actually horrific in the first half. He had bad touch after bad touch after bad touch. He wasn't good the majority of the second half too. And then like in the 75th minute or whatever, some like flip just switched and he turned it on.
Switch just flipped. You said flip just switched.
His flip just switched, whatever. And he just turned it on and just like turned into the player we know that he is. He was turning Mexico players.
He's turning me on.
Yeah. I mean, basically that picture of him did, to be fair. I can't even count. But he was turning Mexico players inside out, making things happen. Okay, can y'all chill?
Elite pause, bro.
Can y'all chill? Good Lord.
Elite pauses on deck.
This is ridiculous.
What the hell?
I'm talking about soccer over here, and y'all are just like, golly.
Oh, my God.
I can't breathe.
I can't take these motherfuckers anyway. Good Lord. This is why we have to mark this podcast as explicit, because you guys are just... Even when I say something that isn't like that, you have to take it to that level. Fuck. He was running Mexican on those Mexican defenders.
Yes, sir.
But no, they couldn't handle him in like the end of the second half and then all of extra time. And then he scored that penalty. And a normal penalty for me would have only like added maybe 1, maybe 2 points to his player rating. But the pressure that penalty was, the magnitude of the penalty, and the celebration as well, that gives him an 8 for me. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like his first truly big moment, I feel like, as a men's national team player. I'm trying to think of like other moments. But there might have been like some semi-big moments, but nothing like on that level.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge moment for him going forward. And maybe it just takes like a little bit of you get the first trophy because he has a ton of pressure on him. He's the golden boy, supposed to be the head of this golden generation. And he's had a ton of pressure on him now for 5 years. And he obviously went through the whole World Cup debacle, which wasn't his fault, by the way. A lot of older players let him down. But that obviously hurt him pretty hard. And you've seen obviously the pictures of him crying and all, and Trinidad and Tobago when that happened. And for him to finally get that first trophy and that first big moment, truly big moment for the men's national team, I think is huge for him and his future going forward. Let's move on to Giovanni Reyna. Sling, what are you giving him for this game? Are you gonna give him like a fucking 4 or some shit?
It's an 8.
Okay, at least I can. I still don't understand how, like, I respect the 8, but I don't know why the fuck you give him an 8 and McKenzie.
I forgot
7,
McKenzie scored a fucking goal.
McKenzie?
You guys started coming down.
Well, Mark McKenzie didn't score. Well, he kind of scored a goal for Mexico.
Yeah, that's facts. No,
McKinney
he
scored.
He assisted.
I said McKenny.
You said McKenzie.
Oh, McKinney. My bad, not McKenzie.
But okay, yeah. So Reyna an 8.
Hell.
I'm with that. I mean, it's not like we're potting or anything right now, but yeah, I'm with that. Reyna got the goal in the first half to make it 1-1. He's another dude that, like I said, is just like down for the bullshit. Like he's ready to do some, like sly, like dirty shit and like call a Mexican player a piece of shit or whatever. Like it's just what he does. I don't know if y'all remember, but in the Honduras game when that Honduran player dove, you can see Reyna ran over and bent over to him and said something to him, and then all the Honduras players like lost their shit and ran up on Reyna.
Yeah, Heike Reyna said some racist shit.
Okay.
Oh my god, bro! They're like, whoa, what the fuck?
Hey.
No, he didn't say that. He was just like, "Oh, you're a fucking pussy." But yeah, so Reyna is kind of Reyna is down for the bullshit. He's one of those guys you need for these CONCACAF games. And I have to be honest, I thought that he was probably, our best attacker until he got pulled. I think he just kind of got tired and he kind of started to fade out of the game. But I think from a consistency standpoint, he might be like that. I watch him and Pulisic, right? And when Pulisic is on, he is by far the best player we have. Just things that he can do with the ball. But like in that first half, when Pulisic wasn't on, when his touch was off, when Pulisic's like touch and that stuff is off, he's kind of like he's just kind of ineffective and he kind of goes out of games and runs in and out of games. Reyna shit just seems so natural to him. He's only 18 years old and he's just dribbling by guys like it's just. He's going about like he's 30 years old going up against 18-year-olds instead of the other way around. And he just looks so comfortable and natural on the ball. And I thought that he was really, running the show for us for the most part from an offensive standpoint in the first half and in the second half. So I was really impressed with him overall in this tournament as well. And so, yeah, I agree with Sling's rating of an 8 there. Yeah. Jake, what are you giving Josh Sargent?
Honestly, dude, probably like a 5. Like he
sucks.
Show me much, man. Like he had that one run down the right side in the first half, and granted he like kind of slipped, but he still put it on target.
Should have scored it.
I mean that's a tough.
Yeah, that was a tough shot.
And then all right.
Are you a Mexican fan?
Yeah, on God, bro. This man is.
I just don't like him. I think he sucks.
This man's an El Tridiot.
On God.
But
El American.
Amen. What else? I think McKinney probably should have slotted him through on that one run where McKinney just ended up shooting. Granted, it was a little bit of a tight window, and he would have had to put the pass on the money. But like Sargent kind of, I don't want to say like disappears up top, but like he's not as much of a factor as like Pulisic and Reyna are up top. So I'm giving him a 5 for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 6 because like I just don't think he really was bad, but I also don't think he was good either. I think he probably should have at least worked the goalkeeper on that rebound off of McKinney's shot. But at the same time, I don't see Sargent getting like clear-cut opportunities. And to be fair, I thought like his build-up play and stuff, like linking up with Pulisic and Reyna, and also back into the midfield, I thought was pretty good in that game. So I have to give him props for that. But yeah, he has to become more of a goal threat. But at the same time, we don't really have a striker like that in the pool right now. So it's Sargent's spot still until somebody else proves that they can do that on a consistent basis. Hopefully, we'll see Daryl DK in the Gold Cup consistently, and maybe he'll become that guy. But yeah, Sargent, I just want him to get away from Werder Bremen. Like I see him. The best thing he did this tournament was that fucking incredible like save off the line against Honduras, and he does really well tracking back and defending. And it's like, that's dope. I like your work ethic and everything and your work rate, but you got to like get better at some of these attacking intricacies. And I just feel like at Werder Bremen, he just doesn't do that shit because they're so ass. And so I just want him to get away from Werder Bremen. Either that or maybe the Werder Bremen coach that's coming in next season is like an expansive, attacking, football-minded coach, and he can help him in that regard. But yeah, I thought Sargent was all right, but he wasn't. He didn't do anything really like bad, but he also didn't do anything good either. So I'm gonna give him a 6. I don't want to be too harsh on him. Subs. We'll just run through these real quick. I do want to talk about Timothy Waya real quick. I thought that he was really, really good when he came on. Didn't do anything that shows up on the stat sheet. I mean, he didn't have a goal, didn't have an assist. But his running up and down the pitch, I mean, he came on in the 62nd minute, which means he ended up playing about 80 minutes because we said there was about 140 minutes combined in the game. So he almost played a full 90. And that entire 80 minutes, he was running up and down the pitch. He's just a guy that has extreme athleticism and pace. And especially there was times in that second half, especially near the end, where Mexico had a ton of possession. And Waya, though, was that outlet ball to where, we could get it up to him and he'd go run and chase it down, outrun a Mexican defender. That way you're not just clearing it back to Mexico and then they just get it forward immediately. We at least get to take the pressure off of our defense for a little bit before they come back at us. And I think that's something that's really important that some people kind of underestimate sometimes. So I was impressed with Waya. I want to see him get more minutes going forward. I mean, he's not going to start over Pulisic and Reyna. That's kind of the problem with him.
Bro, but the thing about him is that he's played the striker role before.
Right? Yeah, but he played it at a youth national team level against shitty teams. He'd be all right, but he played against some better teams. He just didn't really look comfortable there. And he himself has came out and said before that he doesn't like playing with his back turned to goal, which is what as a striker you're going to have to do a lot with hold-up play and stuff. So, I mean, I think winger is his spot. The problem is for him, I mean, he's just unfortunately our 2 best players arguably on the national team, or at least 2 of the 3 best players are those wingers in Gio Reyna and Pulisic. So unless Reyna at some point moves into a number 10 role, I just don't really see a scenario where Waya's going to start unless one of those 2 guys are injured, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Waya. I'm gonna give him a 7. I thought that he was important off the bench and played pretty well. Some other substitutes. Jordan Sabichu came on, didn't really do much. He wasn't on for a lot of time. Actually, I think he was because he played the end of the second half and all of extra time, so he was on for a little bit. But I didn't really think he did much, which is another reason why I still think it's Sargent's position for now. So yeah, he did okay. I actually thought his best moments were when we saved that penalty late in the game, and he had a couple of nice moments of hold-up play that we were able to hold it into the corner, and he was a part of that, and getting some flick-on headers and chesting the ball down for Pulisic and Waya and all. Reggie Cannon, once again, he came on the 106th minute for Yedlin.
Did his role.
Yeah, did his role. He didn't do anything bad, which is all you ask of him in that situation, just be safe.
Yeah.
Who else? Sebastian Lletget, same thing. Came on.
Oh, dude, don't even forget fucking Horvath, bro.
Well, I kind of want to save.
Okay, chill out.
Jesus.
And Tyler Adams.
I wanted to save those 2.
Wherever fucking get to it then.
All right, so yeah, let's since Jake's over here, press me and shit. Let's get on to Ethan Horvath. 10.
11.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that too.
12.
You can give him 100. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He made a good save off of Lozano. Made a really good save off of Henry Martin, even though it was eventually called offside. He was commanding his box, came in, collected balls in the air. Don't even think about saying some shit.
Dude, I was so close.
And then he made the save of I mean, that is the single-handedly biggest save that a U.S. goalkeeper has made, and I don't even know how long. We talk about performance-wise, obviously Howard against Belgium.
I was about to say, but my man channeled his inner Tim.
But a singular save, I don't know if I've seen from my memory at least, I don't know if I've seen a men's national team goalie make a save like that in a moment like that. I'm sure there probably has been, but I don't remember seeing it. It's been a while. So yeah, 10. He came on, didn't do anything wrong, did everything right, and then made a great save to win us the game. I think we may have some controversy at the goalkeeper spot going forward, and I'm here with it. If we have 2 number 1s, I'm completely fine with that. Mm-hmm. You actually look at all the national teams in the past, Keller and Tony Miola and why am I drawing Brad? Howard, and Brad Friedel. Brad Friedel, those 3 guys were all number 1s, and they all battled it out for the number 1 spot back in the 90s and early 2000s. And then, Tim Howard, Brad Guzan, they were both number 1s, even though Howard was better. But Guzan was a number 1 playing in the Premier League. So, you had 2 number 1-esque goalkeepers there. And so it's nice, hopefully Stefan and Horvath can be those two number ones for us going forward. And then finally, Tyler Adams. I don't know about y'all, but there's just something different about Tyler Adams when he's on the pitch. Like the pace and like how quickly he closes the ball down compared to anybody else we have in the midfield. It's just very apparent to me. And it was very nice seeing him back on the pitch. And please, Tyler, please, we need you healthy. We need you healthy. This is the first time he's played in like a big national team game, I think maybe ever. I don't think he played in the Gold Cup. I don't think he played did he play in any of the World Cup qualifiers? I don't think he did. Back, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think he did. Because he was only he was 17, 18 back then. So this might have been the first big game he played in. And he came in, ended up playing pretty long. I mean, he played for 60 minutes or so. So he played for a while, shut it down in the midfield. I thought he was really, really good. And yeah, I was really, really impressed with Tyler Adams. Somebody that's really, really important for us going forward. Just kind of that cog in the middle of the midfield. Our midfield is just completely different with him in there, and I feel like we're just much stronger defensively, at least with him in there. He just sniffs out a lot of counterattacks. So yeah, for us to beat these teams consistently, like Mexico, like teams we'll face in the World Cup, teams from Europe and South America, we've got to have Tyler Adams in there. He is very important to our midfield, and just countering and stuffing counterattacks and things like that. So it was nice to see him back on the pitch, playing a part in the triumphant victory. Just wonderful. Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts on the W, boys?
I hate Mexico.
All right.
The team.
Yeah, the team. We're not talking about the country.
Not the actual country of Mexico.
It's just elite hatred between the national team.
And honestly, the fan base, too.
That's true.
I have a legitimate hatred for the Mexican fan base.
The antics they pull is actually fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. But, no, dude, it feels good to finally beat Mexico again. I feel like we needed this as a team all around. And, yeah, dude, we're the fucking champs.
Yeah, and it makes it just that much sweeter when it comes against our hated rival, Mexico. And, before we get out of here, I wanted to mention one last thing. Because talked about it earlier in the pod, as soon as the lineup came out, I was like, please fucking fire Berhalter. I'm still very unsure on him, not in the fire camp as I was, in that split second moment before the game. But I will say I really question his tactics, and I will continue to question his tactics. But one thing I can't question with him is, number one, like you said, he's a really good recruiter, keeps getting these dual nationals. But you saw it with McKinney going and celebrating with him. It seems like he's getting these young players to play for him and playing as a group. But there is something to be said about his ability to grab all these different players from all these different clubs across Europe and the MLS and bring them all together in one group for this Nations League and being able to beat a team like Mexico that is a solid team, the number 11 team in the world according to FIFA. Cap. But an experienced team with a pedigree at an international level, not anything crazy, but a good, solid, experienced international team that has had our number for the last 10 to 15 years. And Greg, even though I don't know if it's thanks to his tactics, but he was able to get the group to buy into at least one thing, and that is playing as a group, playing as a team, playing for each other, playing for that badge, playing for the country. And so that was wonderful to see. So I'm gonna hold my Berhalter hatred at least for a little while. I wouldn't say hatred. I don't hate the guy, but I'm not his biggest fan. But I'm gonna hold my Berhalter criticism for another time. Can't really criticize him after winning this. And so I think he did save his job for now, because I did say if he didn't win this game, I wanted to see him get fired. So, but he won the game, so you got to give credit where credit's due. And so a good way to start the summer. Obviously, they finish up. This group finishes up their run of 4 games on Wednesday against Costa Rica, and in a friendly that will more than likely be a much weakened side. Will be the guys probably that didn't play that much in this Nation League, which means, hey, at least we'll get to see Musa. Aronson obviously didn't play in the final. Maybe he'll get a game. And so DK, I think, also might play in that game because he is with the team right now, even though he's not on the Nations League roster. So hopefully he gets to play in that friendly against Costa Rica. And then they move forward into July for the Gold Cup, which I don't believe this will be very many of these players. It'll be a lot of different guys, some guys from MLS, other guys from Europe that didn't get a look in this team, guys like Luca De La Torre and people like that. And the reason for that being is because, by the way, Mexico fans, this was the tournament. I saw a lot of people on Twitter, on TikTok, ironically, were popping up my For You pages, making hella excuses. First, they were talking about the ref. I don't know how, as a Mexican fan, you can even bring up the ref as an excuse. He was on your side the entire game besides the penalty that he gave us, but then he made up for it and gave y'all a fucking stupid-ass penalty too. So blame Guardado for missing. Don't blame the ref. And then also saw the excuse that, oh, yeah, it's a Mickey Mouse trophy. We care about the Gold Cup more. No, the consensus was that Mexico and the U.S. and these teams were going to send their A team to the Nations League because they want to win it. It's the inaugural tournament. It's the first time it's ever been played. They want to win it. And because of that, they were going to send their B teams and C teams to the Gold Cup. So this was the tournament to win. And we won it. We get the last laugh for now as we build into the Gold Cup. But more importantly, we build into World Cup qualifying that starts in, I believe, September. So beautiful for this team to get their first win together. And I believe we know our winners and losers of the week. Our winners are the U.S. men's national team. I think y'all can all agree on that.
Yeah.
And our losers are the team across the border.
Ja.
Ja. We got the last ja.
Yes,
Unfortunately, Mexico is our loser this week. And yeah.
Nah, fortunately.
True. Fortunately. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for us. And that comes to the end of the podcast. That wraps it up for us this week. Pretty long podcast considering we were only talking about one thing. We will be back next week with some transfer rumors and actually transfers that have gone through already from the Premier League. We'll get back into that talk a little bit, and we will also wrap up the final game from this U.S. men's national team camp that is coming up on this Wednesday against Costa Rica. Until then, follow us on social media. I'm trying to get our followers up. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Clueless Yanks on all three of those platforms. And until we see you guys next week, appreciate you guys for tuning in, and up the U.S. men's national team.
Up the fucking U.S. of A.
Up the boys.
Adios.
Take it easy, everyone.